I was deeply pained when I heard the reports of fixing and manipulation in the Karnataka Premier League of so many cricketers now seeming to be very, very fallible, because for some reason we tend to hold sport at a higher level than we do other activities. We like to think of it as pure, though it's inevitable that it will attract all sorts. And briefly, but only briefly, the mind went back to the turn of the century when Indian cricket was rocked, and it reminded me, as I've often said here on CricBuzz, that the turnaround came with good people as much as good cricketers. And it just told me once again, irrespective of what happens, you must have good people playing the game, though we can't quite control that. It also reminded me of all the various inquiries that went on at that time. The CBI themselves had an inquiry which stopped short of what seemed to be a conclusion. We never got to know why. But the law was trying to play its hand, and that brings us to the issues raging today. There's two ways of looking at what happened briefly in the Tamil Nadu Premier League, in the Karnataka Premier League more obviously, and you can look at it from the legal standpoint or the cricketing standpoint. Now, I have no qualification to talk from the legal standpoint, but from the reading I've done this two ways. One is there's a talk to legalize betting. I think we need to separate betting and match manipulation. They're two different things. But can we legalize betting at all? If you remember, for a long time there was prohibition because it was felt that the sadly small amount of disposable income that a lot of families have, people should not be tempted to put that into betting. The flip side to that is, would you rather, if they were going to do it anyway, they did it in a legal betting house rather than find unsavory characters who will not have any trail of the money they've given them and maybe lead them on to something far more sinister? I don't know if betting can be legalized. The one thing in favor of legalized betting, though, is that you can keep track of transactions. You can follow trends in betting. And all of a sudden, if you find that the match is progressing one way, but betting trends are headed somewhere else, then maybe that is an indicator of something being wrong. You can use the large volumes of data generated to find in what situations things are going wrong or the unexpected is happening. Should it be part of the criminal system? Should there be laws against match fixing? I'm not an expert on whether you need to stretch the legal system. What I do like is people going to jail. Because if you're running into bowl, your team off spinner, you're running into bowl and you're saying, oops, my keeper's in jail. If I do it, I might go too. And then when one of the fraternity is publicly shamed in a sense, then maybe that'll hold people back. Under what charge you arrest them? You'll have to ask the lawyers again. I don't know. But I like the idea of public shaming and sending people to jail. But what about from the cricketing point of view? We often talk a great deal about education, that every young kid should be told these are the ramifications. But we also tell them not to drink when they're too young, not to embezzle people. Eventually, if people are thus inclined, they will get there. But from our side, we have to keep educating as much as possible. And I do believe that the best players in the world, the most popular players in the world, the role models in the world for the way they play their sport have an extra responsibility to ensure that the game is clean. And therein lay the real issue with Shakib Hasan. That Shakib should have been at the forefront of saying, I have got an advance, so that everybody would say that is how the champions play the game. If your champions seem to have feet of clay, then you're in trouble anyway. So we have to keep on educating. But I also believe there's a huge responsibility on organizers of leagues, the BCCI that organizes the IPL, the Karnataka Cricket Association, the Tamil Nadu Cricket Association, because when there is skin in the game for doing things wrong, then there is enormous pressure on players. And if we do not take the utmost care in checking the qualifications of team owners, then this is something that is waiting to happen. It pains me, but if there's some of you watching this, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, you're just getting into the game, don't. I know it's very easy to pluck a low-hanging fruit, that there will always be temptations, but if you love this game, don't, because it'll only take you elsewhere. We all need to strengthen our game.